What up, y'all? We back, season 2, week 2, NFL Matchup Madness, a Play Caller Sports production. So, y'all, we're going to hop into this thing tonight. We're highlighting 4 of the matchups. For all your other matchups, we still got you covered. You're going to hop over to playcallersportstalk.com/live or youtube.com/@realplaycallers, and you'll be able to catch all of our wonderful contributors and their thoughts on their specific matchups, the ones that aren't focused on here today, right? And we switched it up to kind of make sure you guys don't get a little fatigued from having to watch a 3-hour show every week. So this will give everybody a chance, of course, to talk about live matchups throughout the season, but at the same time, keep it short, sweet, and keep y'all invested. So everyone, appreciate y'all hopping on. Appreciate y'all watching. And it's time to dig into this thing. So the first matchup that we're going to be covering tonight is going to be the Minnesota Vikings versus the Philadelphia Eagles, your primetime matchup on Thursday night. I am joined by Miss Key in the building. Key, what's going on?
Nothing cool. What's going on, man?
You know me, as you can tell, I'm always love to talk these teams we're talking about right now. So we don't have a Vikings person on this weekend. That's cool. It happens, right? But Key, you're very familiar with both of these teams, and we know that you can talk all the teams in the league. So talk to us about what do you expect to happen in this matchup between the Eagles and the Vikings, from the Viking side and from the Eagles side. And of course, we know there's some injury updates you might want to advise everyone of as well.
Well, as you all know, last year it's funny because I think we played them week 2, right after the Detroit. We played them week 2, and we're playing them again week 2, prime time at home. This time on a Thursday. Last year it was Monday. I feel like it's going to be a Justin Jefferson breakout game. Because last year, big play shut him down to only 2 catches for under 100 yards. And last week, he did have the big game, 150, but he didn't have no touchdowns. So I think he's out for revenge on this game. Kirk Cousins, still going to be Kirk Cousins. We know he doesn't play well in primetime games. Things have changed. No Dalvin Cook, but they did add a new receiver in Jordan Addison, the rookie out of UFC, that they've been connecting with that Kirk. And, they got a little chemistry together. He got his first touchdown last week. Now, I do expect the receivers to get some yards, of course. You can't stop all of them. And then they got T.J. Hockenson, who just got paid as well. So, Minnesota got weapons. Don't sleep on Minnesota. Now, the running game for Minnesota is not that great. I don't trust Alexander Matheson on the running side. So, I think that's where Minnesota's going to lack at. And I think we shut down – the Eagles did shut down the run pretty well last week when it came to Stevenson and Zeke in some areas. So we can stop the run. I just don't feel like the running game is going to break out. It's the receivers, tight end, that I'm worried about. But as far as the Eagles side, ugly win last week, but a win's still a win. Some things we definitely have to clean up. Hopefully the play calling gets a little better. Play calling last week was pretty skeptical on the offensive side. We have to score more points. We can't just shoot. We can't just kick field goals. Because if we kick field goals, Eagles aren't winning this game.
So how do you feel about the stigma about Kirk Cousins and the fact that he normally chokes really bad in primetime games? Do you think that they could have an effect on the outcome of the game? And then on the Eagles side, do you feel like the injuries to Nakobe Dean, James Bradbury, are going to have an effect on how the Eagles are able to do defensively in this contest?
Definitely missing Bradbury because he's in concussion protocol. So he's not going to be cleared in time. I think concussion at least got to be 5 days or so. He's not going to be cleared in time. So definitely missing Bradbury on the other side of Slay is definitely going to be a task. So we all know Slay is going to be on Jefferson. So whoever is guarding Jordan Addison, Kurt might, attack a little bit. But I still believe in our secondary to hold him, or he might throw to T.J. Hockenson, knowing that Nakobe Dean's out with a foot injury for a month. He'll be back in a month. We also got Nicholas Morrow up there and Zach Cunningham for the linebacker. So we may not be able to cover the tight ends because that was our kind of our weakness last year as well when it came to the tight ends. So T.J. Hockenson is a top 5 quarter tight end in this league, and I can see him possibly going off if there's some issues in the linebacker and in that secondary. And then Kirk Cousins' record, I know he might try to overcome that since there's some blunders in the some little weaknesses in the defense. He might try to get over, but that front is always going to be there. Hopefully, we'll bring some more pressure to Kirk Cousins.
Definitely. So, what do you think, besides the things we discussed, would be X factors for both teams to get a victory on Sunday?
So for the X factors, I believe it has to be the running game for the Eagles. Game goal, in my opinion, is not a number one. We got DeAndre Swift for a reason. Didn't use him at all. So I'm going to say DeAndre Swift and definitely Dallas Goedert has to get involved in this passing game for us to win. He had no catches last week, did have a target, but he cannot not touch the ball in the game no more. So the running game and using Dallas Goedert is definitely going to be our X factors for on the Minnesota side. It's still Kirk Cousins trying to overcome that primetime record. All he has to do is play his game, pick apart our defense, get Jefferson and Addison and T.J. Hockenson involved to where, our defense can't stop them. Then, it's over. I feel like if Justin Jefferson gets enough yardage and he burns us enough, I don't think the Eagles can come back from it. So it has to be Kirk Cousins making smart decisions when the Eagles defense knowing they can pressure him. You just have to be smart about it. And the Eagles on the offensive side has to do better than what they did last week.
I can dig that. So, Key, not going to hold you a long time here. What is your score prediction for this game?
I still got the Eagles winning this game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout like last year. I think they keep it close. Jake Elliott showed that he can boot some kicks. He did miss the extra point, but he did make 4 field goals when it mattered, especially the longest one being from 56. So hopefully he gets a break when it comes to not kicking so many field goals. So I'm going to say the score prediction, I go 27-20 Eagles.
All right, fair enough. So, Keith, please, if you have a moment, hop over and check us out on the YouTube channel, and there, make sure you leave your information on where everyone can find you and how they can follow you. Good luck on the game. Of course, I'm hoping that you win as well, but good luck on the game, and we'll see you back next week.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, so guys, we're gonna hop into our next matchup here. Get our next rep up here ready to do this, and that's going to be Jeff. Jeff is one of our OGs from last season.
What's
Jeff,
up,
what's going on, man?
I'm much glad to be back. I apologize publicly to everyone. I totally messed up last week, but I'm glad I got a redemption story with a primetime game. Love the new format. I like what you're doing with the show, and we're all happy with the work you put in for us behind the scenes to give a voice to us crazy fans out there. So I appreciate being on, man.
No problem, man. That's what it's all about, man. Just give everybody a platform. We get a chance to talk some football. I think it's the best sport in the world right now. So, I mean, soccer fans might disagree with me, but hey, that's a personal thing we can talk about.
That's what we do in sports. We disagree.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, Jeff, you're on solo, of course, as well this week. So, the first question I'll ask you is, in this matchup that you have coming up here, you've got you versus the Patriots. The first question I'll ask you is, what do you see as the keys to victory for the Patriots, and then also for yourself?
I mean, for the Patriots, obviously number one, you gotta defend Tyreek Hill. I mean, the rip that he was on last week, he's just at a spot in his career to where he's probably playing as good as he's ever going to play, and very few people have ever played as good as he is right at this moment. But if I know that, and you know that, Belichick definitely knows that. So obviously they're gonna if there's ever anybody that ever created, to for this job, it's Belichick. He is not going into the film room scared of Tyreek Hill. Like he'll have a good plan. He's got a good secondary and a strong and a tough secondary, which is they're always a tough matchup. You know what I mean? They can be physical, they can tackle. They're probably not going to make them. I don't want to be too hard on the Chargers last week, but they're probably not going to make those little mistakes that let Tyreek, kind of go off and run that game. So, that's number one for the Patriots. It's just like keep him under wraps. They keep him under wraps, and that means they're going to make Tua think. If you make Tua think, even if it's another third of a second, then you're going to start tackling Tua. You want to get him moving around. You want to get him flustered in the pocket. They don't have a great running game. Then they're going to start you're going to start forcing turnovers. I mean, if they get a couple if New England gets if New England finishes this game +2 in turnovers, they're going to win the game. I'll just say that outright. I don't think Miami can overcome it. Their defense isn't there yet. They're physical, they're athletic, but they just still aren't gelling. And I think Herbert and the Chargers are really good. So I don't want to say that the defense is going to look that. I shouldn't say bad, but they're going to give up that many yards all year. I don't think that's going to happen. But Mac Jones threw for 300 and was probably a toenail away from maybe beating what we know is an excellent Eagles team. So this New England team is good, obviously. They're going to be well coached. If Jones is playing pretty good, they're a threat. The Miami side of it, you got to basically, number one, forget about last week. This is a different team. This isn't the Chargers. This isn't the Chargers coaching staff. You're not playing Herbert. You had a great game, huge victory. But you got to forget about it. You got to have a completely new game plan. You got to run the ball. When I say run the ball, I'm not saying you got to take the air out of it. You got to pound it. You got to eat the clock. No. I'm saying you have to be able to get 5 and 6 yard gouges. That's what I don't know what we're going to call this. We'll just call it a Shanahan offense. This is McDaniel's part of the tree. You have to gouge for 5 and 6 yards when it's there. You have to catch the defense off a little bit. Last week they really didn't. Mostert looks pretty quick. They got a decent, core, a group of running backs. They can do it. They're going to have to, if they come out and just sling it all over the field, they're playing to that defense's hand. So Miami has to have a smart running game. Tua has to come into this game and be concentrated on, it's not going to be like last week. Don't get caught up in, this aerial show that you put on. You've got to be smart. You take the under stuff. Just keep taking the under stuff to these receivers. They will break one. I mean, I think this is probably going to be a bigger week for Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage is going to be huge this week. And, if you just keep pounding that, it's going to break rather than trying to go over the top and playing in those safeties' hands. So, it's your classic, going against Patriots thing. Be smart. You can't turn the ball over. Take advantage. If a big play is there and a matchup's there, you got to make that throw. You can't miss on those opportunities. And the Dolphins are a little bit better than the Patriots. They should win this game for the first time in quite a while. The Dolphins have a better team than the Patriots, but it's at New England, which is always it's just that team plays really good at home. The home field advantage now, in Vegas is down to about 1.5. It's not what it used to be, but New England's one of those places that it still matters. That team still plays well there. So, Miami's got to not pat themselves on the back too much and get to business and tough out. It's going to be a tough victory. You saw it last week yourself. I'm sure you watched every second of that, that Eagles game. You watched it, you know what I mean? You got to gut it out no matter how talented your team is.
Yep. So a couple of comments here, Jeff.
Man, every week.
So let's cover a bit of Ohio State stuff, man.
Every show. I'm about to if it gets any worse, just so you know. Anyway.
And then we got another comment here from IW Sports says Jones looks better this year compared to last year, but it was only one game.
Shout out to IW, man.
Yep.
Did my first show with
Oh, go ahead, man.
No, I just said I did my first show with IOW this year and had a great time. Excellent group of creators over there.
Absolutely, man. It's good people over there. I like those guys quite a bit. Um, I just want to add that one of the reasons why Mac Jones had the games had, not an excuse, but this is a fact. Our quarterback on the defense, Nakobe Dean, got hurt in the first half. I want to say it was like at the beginning of the second quarter. I'd have to go back to look exactly when he got hurt, but I know it was early in the first half. So once he was out, the adjustments weren't being made, right? So that's why you saw some guys kind of having some nice open spots and getting to make big plays within that game. And hey, it happens, but that's kind of what it is. So I'm not selling I'm not buying Mac Jones yet. I'm just seeing what he can do through a couple more games. I still think he's whack and cheese, and I will continue to say that. But we also got ILW Sports here, says thanks, appreciate it. No problem, man. Just giving props where props is due. We call it giving flowers around here. Give them to you while you're here and not when you're gone.
That's right. Much love.
So, absolutely, man. So, Jeff, you were very eloquent in your explanations there. So, for your team, what do you think is so I'll ask this question for both teams. For your team first, what do you think is the biggest concern for you going into this game? And also for the Patriots, what's the biggest concern for them?
So I'll say for the Dolphins, I still don't, they gave up another, 400 and some yards last week. It was mostly through the air, but I still have concerns of if the Patriots come into this and decide just to try and do what they do, run the ball down your throat, play action. Are the Dolphins like quote unquote a tough team? Can they be physical? Can they just take on blocks, play after play after play, and withstand it? With whether it's Elliott or Stevenson or whoever, like can they play that game, or do they want to be out there going fast and playing basketball on grass? Because that happens to teams. Like it's a real thing. Like especially these warm weather teams, they want to play with all this speed, and a team will just come in and just try to drag them through the mud and bore them to death. And if you take a team that's going to be a high scoring team this year, Miami, this isn't going to be a high scoring game. So does the low score put more pressure on than it needs to? Like if it's 14 to, if they're up by 3, but it's, it's 13-10, does that feel worse to them? Do they get tight? Do they worry rather than if it was 33-30, they might feel more comfortable? So can they tough out a game and mentally be tough and physically be tough? New England, the biggest concern is obviously, Mac Jones. I'm with you there. Like he looked good last week, but is he really that good? Because if he's last year's Mac Jones, I don't think they can beat Miami either time this year, most of the teams. So, I think your biggest concern is and let's say Miami gets up 14, has a couple big plays, whatever, does Mac Jones, how does he respond if he has to start just throwing the rest of the game and, and seeing how it goes? I mean, on one side, like I say, he was close to having a chance to beat the Eagles last week. The other side of it is I'm a big guy about wins and losses. He didn't. When it was there in front of him, he didn't get the job done. Tua did. So, not to compare him that way, but that's just at some point, it has to be more than potential. So I would say, if I'm an Eagles fan, or if I'm a New England fan, I'm strictly I'm worried about Mac Jones because everything else we think, especially, let's just be honest about the truth of it, who they thought was going to be one of the best teams in the division lost their quarterback last night. So if you're New England, the truth is you're thinking, hey, this opened up maybe some victories or maybe some chances, or maybe now our playoff hopes have definitely went up if you're New England. So now you got to look at your own quarterback and be like, man, if he's not the guy this year, we might waste another season.
That definitely makes sense. So ILW Sports says fans need to watch out for Judon. That's definitely
they need to watch out for everybody. They gave up 400 yards passing last week, so they need to watch out for everybody.
All right, so Jeff, score prediction time. So what do you have as a score, and who do you have winning this game?
I went low. I do think it's going to be a mud fight because of, guys that like Judon out there I think, well, I don't call people like underrated because I'm always like, well, if I don't know where you rated him, I don't know if he's underrated. Under talked about Judon. I think he's one of the best under the radar players in the league. Like, I think football fans, I think, really know how good he is, but he just doesn't come up in the conversation as much as some of the bigger names. But that's a great shout out by IOW. Fantastic player. But I got the Dolphins pulling it out. I can't, I'd be crazy to sit here and say they're not a better team. They're a slightly better team than the Patriots. But I think it's a little lower than I think. And I'm just going to go with something. I think I settled on 24-20 Dolphins is what I came down to. And I think it's going to be tight right to the last second.
Okay. I can dig that as well, man. It's a good, interesting score for that game. So, Jeff, definitely make sure you also hop over on YouTube and just let everybody know where they can find you, man. And appreciate you, man. We'll see you back, and good luck.
Always, man. Have a great night.
You too. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, just going to take a moment here. If you are watching, please make sure that you're sharing the show. Please make sure that you subscribe if you haven't. Please make sure you like the page as well. Now, also, we have some other Play Callers sports production shows. I'm on Monday nights here, same channel, Monarchs of Wrestling. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Obviously here Tuesday, Wednesday on our one of our sister shows, my show, the Eagles Elite Podcast. That's going to be on at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that's at youtube.com/at Eagles Elite Podcast. On Friday at 10 a.m. on WDJYFM.com. We have the Play Callers radio show. That's an hour-long show. It's pre-taped, but it gives you a good opportunity to just kind of hear some of our thoughts on some events happening. It's local in the Atlanta area, so you'll hear some things about Atlanta sports in specific, but about all sports in general as well. Then we had a Play Callers Sports Talk Show, 7 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, also on Friday. And then, last but not least, another Play Callers Sports production, the NFL Gridiron Flex, Friday nights at 9 p.m. There were more talking about storylines and digging into some of the different things besides just the matchup things that we obviously already covered here. No need to be redundant. Just wanted to kind of shout that out. And then, of course, we have a lot of great videos that you can see at playcallersportstalk.com, either at playcallersportstalk.com/live or youtube.com/at Real Play Callers. And again, everyone that you don't see on live tonight for all their matchups, you'll be able to hop on and see their thoughts, or at least the ones that do send in those videos on the site. So another great resource, another great place to see that information. And it helps us kind of get this to a point where it keeps you guys engaged, doesn't go on too far. All right, so we're going to be talking about our third and final matchup for the night, as looks like the reps for the other will be sending in videos. So Peyton, another one of our OGs returning from last season. What's going on, Peyton?
What's good with you, man? Can you hear me good?
I can definitely hear you good. I can definitely hear you.
Good. So, trying to fix this camera so y'all can see me. You know what I mean?
Yep.
What's good, brother?
So this is a matchup. Oh, nothing much, man. Nothing much, man. So got the Browns versus Steelers matchup, man. So I know one of the things we got to talk about here, right, is tough week one. How do you guys bounce back from that, man? How you bounce back?
You know, those games happen, man. You just gotta look at it and realize, we just didn't play up to par, and you kind of just forget about it. You move on to the next game. You make the quick corrections after watching tape. You see where y'all were a little bit off, because it wasn't. It looked worse than it really was, man. There was Kenny being, throwing those passes. He was just off a little bit. If he was on, different game, right? If you kick the field goal instead of going for it down there, it's 10-20 to 27. You never know how that starts to play out. But I think we do. We just bounce back.
Definitely makes sense, man. So a couple of comments here. We got Jay Hunt, shout out to all the play callers. And then ILW Sports says, what up, though, Peyton?
What up?
All right, and Peyton, so you guys definitely, I think, are a better team than what we saw last week. But let's talk about the Browns here for a minute. So Browns had a pretty solid game. What do you think is going to what do you think they need to do to get a win against you guys? And then also, what do you think that you guys need to do to secure the win?
Yeah, for them to take us out, man, I think they have to do what they always do, right? We're very familiar with one another. So as Mike T said, there's not the magical or mystical about this matchup, right? It's AFC North football. Whoever can run that ball and stop the run, that's where we are, right? We know we're going to be in a dogfight here. We know Chubbs is the factor. If we can't stop Chubbs, I mean, game's over. But having Deshaun, having Cooper, they're definitely a formidable opponent. I don't take them lightly. And then probably their biggest offseason pickup was Jim Schwartz, right? That defense that they have down there, they had talent, but now under Jim Schwartz and his history with his defenses, man, if you could shut down Chase and Higgins and Boyd, I mean, there's a lot of respect that has to be there. But I think that if they could run the ball consistently, play action with Deshaun, give him some round plays, that makes them very complicated for us to probably defeat, that they could get that going. Now, for us to beat them, one of the hard parts is, Cam Hayward is out. He got to have surgery. So we don't know what that looks like. DJ is out, right? Deontay Johnson is out. We don't know what that looks like. So we got a lot of new pieces during the offseason. Did we really gel, or are we in that phase of gelling, right? Preseason, we played a lot of ball, but different people to see different things. So we'll see how long it takes for them to gel. But in order to beat Cleveland, we got to do the same thing. We have to get Najee going. Against San Francisco, we had 9 runs. And that's not going to do it. And Najee took one of those runs for 22 yards, and then he didn't get the ball again. So I know it was getting out of hand, but in that first quarter, you got to give Najee the ball. If we could run the ball, it makes life easier for Kenny. Kenny threw 46 times. So you had the young boy throwing way too many times. And we could say they got up on us early, but even our first series, we didn't run the ball. So I don't know what we're doing here. Matt Canada offense, once again, his name is being highlighted, but I think we can control the ball, get Kenny back to throwing around 15 to 20 passes. We still have wide receivers, and I think we're going to have a good game this time. And I think we'll take them out this time. We have to.
So I got a question here for IOW Sports for you. He says, you still feel good about those Super Bowl hopes? Just checking for a friend.
Absolutely, brother. Like, that's one game against look, like I told my homie, man, we'll see y'all again in the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I know the Eagles might have something to say about them getting there, but that team is legit. San Francisco is definitely one of the better teams in that NFC. So they're not a light team. It's not like they're Houston. They're San Francisco, and they're good at every level. And they kicked us in the teeth, and that's good. We'll take that. But, yeah, Super Bowl is still on the menu, just for y'all haters out there.
Yeah, we can't really lose that in one game, right? Definitely can't happen. All right, so Peyton, man, also, man, talk to me. What do you think are the X factors? What do you think would be the deciding factors? Obviously, injuries and all those things, but from who's playing, what do you think is going to be the deciding factor for each team to get a win in this game?
It starts in the trenches, right? Is that offensive line for us? I think if our offensive line can hold off that front seven, right, especially with that Miles G over there, right, and that lineup they have, if we could hold up and give our team time and holes, it's gonna be very complicated for them to beat us, I believe. Now, with that said, their corners, we have to beat their corners. But with DJ out, DJ's always open. We still got Pickens, but he's still growing. Excuse me. He's not as fast. He's not the breakaway wide receiver. He can make incredible catches, but if you notice, there's always a defender there. So, we have the veteran wide receiver. We got some wide receivers by committee. But they have to get open. If you look at that San Fran game, they were hardly ever open. They just couldn't get open. and that's what makes Kenny hold the ball. And now that front seven gets to rush. So if we could hold them, hold our line, build holes, keep them on the sidelines, I think we got a good chance at winning. But those corners, man, those corners are tough, and they were playing those wide receivers straight up, and those were all veteran wide receivers that they were playing straight up and doing well against. We have some young wide receivers that if we don't if Canada can't schematically come up with some good plays to get these guys open, it's going to be a tough day for us.
I could definitely understand that, man. So lastly, your score prediction for this game.
24-17, man, Steelers. You know, we always play close games. I think it'll be close throughout fourth quarter. Some type of turnover will change it and extend that lead. So TJ Watt sack strip, or Watson running around and we get some level of a fumble or a turnover to kind of change that dynamic in the fourth quarter, that puts it out by a touchdown.
Okay. Well, man, as I was telling everybody else, man, make sure you hop over to the YouTube page, and just let everybody know, where they can find you, so we can see it all in the comments. It'll be there, and everybody can check out any other projects that you have. Appreciate you hopping on, man. Glad to see you back, and good luck, and we'll see you soon.
Same to you, man. Hey, Steeler Nation, let's rock.
All right, guys. So we actually do have one other rep here. Go ahead and pull her on here.
Hi,
Miss Jen.
what's up, cool? How are you?
What's going on? I am good. And Miss Jen will be discussing our other matchup, the Saints versus the Panthers. And as you can see from the colors, she will definitely be more on the Panther side. But
I gave it away, cool.
I don't know, man. Just that blue, right? Just kind of,
just
kind of told us. Yeah,
I'm glad you picked up on my color hues tonight. I didn't feel like wearing a jersey or a t-shirt.
Hey, it's nothing wrong with changing things up, right? Nothing wrong with that at all. All right, so Jen, we've got this wonderful matchup between the Saints, who got to win this weekend, your Panthers, who need to do some reconstruction on the offensive line to help your quarterback.
Yeah.
But what do you think would be the keys for victory for the Panthers, and then keys for victory for your hated rival, the Saints?
Oh, yeah. I hate the Saints. I'm sorry. I just hate the organization. It's nothing against the fan base. It's just, I don't like the organization. You know my feelings on that. So I think we've got an upset and angry at himself, Miles Sanders, coming back. And I don't think he will have a repeat of Sunday. And we have Bryce Young. He didn't do bad. I mean, it wasn't stellar, but it was his first game in a very difficult stadium. Like, Atlanta's loud as it is, and then they pipe in sound anyway. So I don't know if you've ever caught that or not, but they really do. On top of that, unfortunately, it's the wrong running back that I wanted from the Bears, but 33 minutes ago, it was announced that we have just signed 𝐸𝐞𝐬𝐭 from the Bears as another running back. So we'll see if he plays this weekend, probably, or on Monday night. He might. I don't know. Maybe limited. But Chuba, like, honestly, once Coach Wilkes took over last year, Chuba took off, man. Like, I wasn't a Chuba lover, but he's been taken off. He had a great game on Sunday. Bryce only had 2 interceptions. Sadly, they were at the same place, but I feel like with the exception of Thielen, that kind of is on our wide receiver core. And props to Atlanta's defense, because they were just reading our wide receiver core. So, our OC, and I know Coach Reich was calling the plays on Sunday, so I hope we get a little more creative with our plays and our offensive line, or not offensive line, but, our O-line held up pretty good until that Miles Sanders turnover. I feel like we can win this game. They're without Alvin. Thank goodness. I don't like Alvin. They have I read an interesting tweet also. If we win on Monday night, Derek Carr will have lost to 31 NFL teams. But honestly,
That's tough.
Sunday we looked really good until that one turnover. And I'm not blaming Miles because it happens. Every single player has had a turnover, right? So I'm not blaming them. It happens. That just changed the complete trajectory of the game. The defense had literally just gone off the field. They didn't get a chance to catch their breath. We've got one of the better defenses in the league. We've got probably the best DC in the league. Look what he did with the Broncos last year. So I have high hopes. I think it'll be an ugly game. It's not going to be pretty. But, when did Derek Carr ever play a pretty game? So, and if we think back through our history, Derek's brother David was actually our quarterback at 1.2. And so, obviously different changes, but they've got a similar style. So, I think that we have a solid chance of coming in as a victorious on Monday night. Are you going to be at the game?
I am not going to be at the game.
You know what, Cole? Off with your head. Because I know I'm going to make you a secret Panthers fan.
The only games that I'll be going to, that'll never happen. The only games that I'll be at this year will be games that have this team above me in it.
Okay.
But so unfortunately, I don't play the Panthers, so I won't be there. But so 𝐸𝐞𝐿 Cohen, I want you to know that's a good signing for you guys. He's a very good running back, very explosive. He got injured, so and he had a situation with some family problems, but focused back on the field, healthy. That guy he's a fast runner. He's a strong runner, low center of gravity. I think he's a guy that will be a good guy for you guys to add to the room, because I will tell you this: one of the reasons why Eagles fans were not upset that Miles Sanders left at all is because he does have the fumbleitis. So I know you won't put that one on him, but before your season is over, and this is very unfortunate, but just telling you based off history, there will be a couple of fumbles where you say, Miles, why? There will be. That's who he is. I mean, he makes great plays, but he'll give that ball up sometimes as well. And the guy that's been in the league as long as he has, every once in a while they correct that problem. But for the most part, if they haven't corrected it by now, that's pretty much going to be who they are.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, just wanted to give you a little insight, since I kind of have some firsthand insight on those two players.
Yes. Sadly, I wasn't disappointed with the Miles Sanders signing, but I wasn't that hyped. You know what I mean? Me, I get hyped when we get those, but yeah. Yeah,
they shouldn't have been. We should have been like, it's better than what we have, but yeah.
Yeah.
It's just one of those guys, and that's why he's not in Philly. But also for your matchup, what do you think would be the X factor for victory for you guys? And then, of course, the X factor for victory for the Saints.
X factor would be letting Bryce run.
Okay.
I think. He's good. He knows how to scramble. I felt like Bryce had a pretty solid game. Our O-line actually looked better for the first 2.5, 3 quarters than it has in years. Our O-line. Because I am not an NC State fan, but they know how to, pump out like guards. They really do. I'll give Coach Doran that. Think about it, Cole. Like our O-line, what it is. I mean, they're just vast improvements. Is it where I want it to be? No, but you know where I want it to be. So I've got to be positive here. There's still room for improvement, but I'm pretty okay with our center. I love Taylor Mountain. But when they collapsed, like at the beginning of the fourth quarter, right after the turnover, that was just, done. But yeah, because Bryce only got sacked once. So, and that was near the end of the fourth quarter when the O-line was just exhausted. So, and I believe that was on the left side, not the right side. So just saying, go Taylor. I don't know. I feel like the NFC South is still up for grabs. I know Atlanta's a really difficult stadium. I'm not going to Atlanta has our number. The Saints don't really have our number. We're pretty even Steven. Especially Bank of America Stadium, we're 50-50, 14-14. And so it's honestly who shows up, who wants to win more. I will say Reich has more coaching experience than Coach Allen. I think that'll be major. I think that Coach Reich knows with the fan base, he's got limited leeway just because of what we had and then what we did have with Coach Wilkes. So I think that there's a solid chance. I think our X factor will probably be letting Bryce run. It will be whoever we get to come up. I hope it's not CJ Henderson. He's okay. He's not great to cover JC Horn because JC is out. But and I really wouldn't, and like I would love it if we would go ahead and pay Brian Burns, because Brian played balls to the wall on Sunday. He kept us looking good. He kept us in the game. Our D just has to, keep it up, and I think we will.
So what about for the Saints? Who do you think was their X factor?
Michael Thomas.
That's a good answer. Yeah, they need the other wide receiver. All right, so Jen.
Yes, sir.
Question for you. Last question of the night. What do you have as your score prediction for this game?
Oh, I think it's going to be ugly. I'm honestly torn between 14-13 and 21-20. It's not going to be high scoring. This is going to be defense.
So we got to have a definitive answer here on Matchup Madness. So which one?
Okay, 14-13. Panthers.
14-13. Fair enough. We'll rock with
I think it's going to be ugly.
Yep. So Jen, make sure, like everyone else, you hop over on the
YouTube page.
Yep. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Okay.
Appreciate you hopping on. Good luck in your matchup. And we'll see you back soon.
All right. Talk to you later, Cole. Have a great night, sir.
You too. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have completed our primetime matchups. So, again, just remember to hop over to playcallersportstalk.com/live or search on YouTube at Real Play Callers. Find your Matchup Madness playlist, and there's other wonderful playlists that you can check out there as well for some of the other Play Caller Sports Talk production shows. But last final comments. It's week 1. So there's going to be a lot that's going to happen between now and the end of the season. So there's a lot of people that are going to overreact about who won week 1, who lost, how teams looked. Course corrections are going to happen. Teams are going to get better. The teams are going to develop. Teams are going to figure out the things that they don't need. And also remember, a lot of these teams, they didn't really play their starters in the preseason. So what happens when you don't do that is you're expecting them to come out in week 1 and look like they look in week 4, week 5, week 6, and just doesn't happen because of that lack of playing in the preseason together. So let's give these teams some time. If your team won, just be glad you won. If your team lost, it's okay. The season's not over. Still plenty of time to go, unless you're a couple of teams that I think are really bad. But other than that, I think everybody has a solid opportunity. So again, this is your host, your boy 𝐤𝐞𝐬𝐭. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. Appreciate everybody that sees the replay. Appreciate everybody that shares the show, everybody that likes the show, everybody who interacts, man. This is something we're building, just another fun place to talk a lot of football and enjoy it. And with that being said, we are going to end things for the evening. And again, don't forget to check out all those other matchup videos on the on our YouTube page. Have a great night.